Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 17 of the $20orLESS podcast. We're recording live on June 21st, 2015. I'm your host, JD, aka Gaddock Teeg, and with me today is my co-host, Cosmic Engine. How you doing today, Cosmic?
Alright, thank you.
Yeah, so, what have you been playing, video game-wise, this week? Anything good?
No, not really. I've been E3 in it all week.
Yeah, that took up a lot of time for a lot of people, I know. And there was some interesting stuff. I'm sure E3 will dominate the podcast this week. Any hot takes you wanna start out with? Just a general overview of what you thought of the conference.
It was a lot better than last year. Last year was like variously disappointing, as was the year before. I think like a lot of companies tried harder this year after the criticisms of last. For the most part, it was interesting. There was a couple of things that I was like, whatever, who cares? It was nice to see that there was a lot of new IPs this year.
That was also.
So I thought it was pretty good. I was glad that, because it was like last year was like here's a TV app for your console.
Right.
This year was here was some games for your console. So.
Yeah, exactly. There is no like 20 minutes of powers being discussed at a press conference.
So I mean, it was okay overall. I mean, like I say, I always take him with a grain of salt.
Right.
Because like they show off this nice stuff, and then
I mean, it's like the Academy Awards. It's a self-serving hype machine that they're just trying to build hype.
Well, there's a couple of interesting things.
Yeah, for sure. So this week, with E3, a couple things got just stealth released. One of them being the game of the week this week, which is Fallout Shelter, which we'll be discussing later on in the podcast. But I was playing another game that was stealth released, and that is Earthbound Beginnings. As you may know if you've been listening to this podcast, I'm a huge fan of the Earthbound series. Earthbound 3 hopefully we'll get at some point. But for now, we have the original NES version of Earthbound, named Mother in Japan. It's old school JRPG set in like a modern universe where instead you have potions, you have burgers and fries and things like that. It's neat. It's very old and shows its age for sure. They've just ported it. They haven't done anything special to the game at all. So it definitely shows that age. It's very esoteric, and you kind of have to have a strategy guide to figure out some of the things you have to do in that game. And it's pretty hard, too. You have to grind. It's a little rough nowadays, but I love the series. I'll definitely see it through, and I'm excited that they are at least showing a willingness to release Japanese games and even old Japanese games on current gen consoles. And then also I did some traveling. It's Father's Day today. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. And I started playing the Phoenix Wright trilogy, which is on the 3DS. I've never really got into the Phoenix Wright series. I've always heard it held in high regard, but never got into it myself.
Hit and miss each of those titles. I'm like really good.
Yeah, so far I've only played about an hour of it, and it's interesting. It's fun, and it's different from a lot of games. You really have to pay attention, which in a lot of games you don't have to pay attention at all. You have to pick out the discrepancies between testimony and what's going on with evidence, and a lot of things to keep track of, a lot of reading to do. That's one of the things that kind of kept me away from the series for a while, is when I'm playing that game, I want to be fully invested, because you kind of have to be. If you're not, you're going to miss something, and then they're going to get away with it. So overall, it's fun. It's enjoyable. I'm glad that they packaged the games together into one just single game, basically, now. So the first 3 titles are available on the eShop. I think it was $20 too, so you can't really beat that. But beyond that, following E3, which I guess let's talk about E3.
Yes.
I figured the best way to go through this is just we're going to talk about each press conference in a row in the order that it happened. We'll give some of our opinions, talk about what was discussed. And first up, starting the show off with a bang, I think, was the Bethesda press conference. Well, actually, let me just side note all the press conferences with the Nintendo World Championships. I thought that really started off E3 with a bang. I thought that was a really cool presentation from Nintendo. There were a couple of groan-worthy moments in there, Nintendo, but it was a lot of fun to see a lot of famous streamers and YouTubers up there duking it out for the World Championships, and it showed off Mario Maker like you couldn't do any better. It made Mario Maker look like an amazing title, and we'll discuss that also later when we talk about the Nintendo press conference. But that was a cool opener to the show. I don't know, what do you think of the World Championship?
I didn't watch
you watch
them.
it all?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Nintendo's...
Alright, then let's talk about Bethesda, because I know Bethesda interests you. So, Bethesda started off the press conferences, and they talked about several games you would expect. First off, they opened with Doom, and that game looks as bloody and gruesome as you would expect a Doom game to look like.
Yeah, it
in
looks
2015.
okay. Like Doom never really interested me. I mean, it was always I liked that they captured the fast-paced gameplay. It very like it almost looked like Wolfenstein at certain points, like in terms of the gunplay and stuff. Some of the level design looked good. I wasn't particularly impressed with some of the textures on the walls and stuff. I thought they were a bit left to be desired, but I thought it was okay. It was a Doom game. I thought it captured what it needed to capture from the series. But like apart from that, there was nothing really that they showed like the melee finishes and stuff, but there was nothing really that stood out that was special about it.
Yeah, and they still have time on that game. That game isn't coming out till 2016, so things like textures and really polishing the game up, that could definitely happen between now and then. So I wouldn't really judge it too harshly.
Well, we'll see.
On that.
But I said, it wasn't a blood for me particularly.
Yeah, but I was not expecting anything out of the Wolfenstein game when they released it last year, and that game ended up looking awesome. So Doom could follow the same fate, an old franchise coming back with some new legs. I think that it might surprise us. I'll be waiting to see when this is released.
But then I mean, say this conference was pretty good. I think the biggest obviously was Fallout 4. I mean, they did show Dishonored 2, but
it was just a trailer.
It was just a CGI trailer, and it didn't mean anything.
I'm happy it's coming.
Yeah, I'm happy it's coming. I mean, Dishonored as a franchise didn't really bother me that much. I mean, I enjoyed the game. I didn't think it was as spectacular as people made it out to be in terms of like the gameplay was really good, like the stealth, or you could go in guns blazing. But like, I didn't think the particular storyline anything exceptional.
I didn't either. I mean, a lot of people I thought really did enjoy that story a lot, but I thought it was a little.
I mean, I'm glad it's coming. There's a second one coming. Obviously, you can play as the original protagonist Corvo or his daughter in this one, and I like that they're going with the idea that basically each character has different skills and abilities, which makes the whole thing more interesting to play, and it adds to the replayability of the title. But other than that, I wasn't. It was a CGI trailer. Like, who cares? I don't really care about a game until I see some gameplay. So it was all right. It was one of those things. But I mean, Fallout 4 stole the show, which I expected it to anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this is their first press conference. They had to pull out all the stops and Fallout 4.
I mean, I was glad that they definitely did a press conference. Fallout 4 looks fantastic in most aspects. I hope that. I mean, they haven't given anything away from the story, so I hope. For me, story is really important in Fallout. It's one of the key things, so I hope that they do a really good in-depth narrative that's very immersive. I hope they keep the Fallout universe humor in there. I think that's really important for a Fallout game. The setting of Boston is okay. I mean, the actual visuals that they showed of some of the landscapes and stuff look really interesting. It doesn't particularly bother me that much because it's just a setting. It's all right. I was impressed with the actual gameplay that they showed, however, in that the actual combat looks massively changed. It looks a lot more almost like Wolfenstein.
Yeah,
like a
it looks like they're
shooter.
making an FPS now. Yeah,
which is good because that was something that hampered the other games. Like the VAT system's back, which I'm really pleased to see because I loved the VAT system.
Yeah.
But the actual gunplay of 3 and New Vegas kind of sucked.
Yeah, it was garbage. It was.
So I'm kind of say that they're pushing forward with that. I was really impressed with the character creation. the sheer amount of options that they have for that. And I think the biggest thing is that they've introduced new mechanics, like I was hoping they would. They've introduced a new crafting system, which is pretty damn extensive from what it seems.
Crafting in the last Fallout games were pretty garbage.
Which is something that I hope that they would do, because after seeing New Vegas and what Obsidian put in terms of like the weapon add-ons and stuff like that, I'd hope that they would really expand on that, which they have. And what was a surprise to me was the base building, and being able to create your own settlement and attract traders and stuff like that. That was a huge thing.
Yeah, no, that looks awesome. That looks like a really neat system. But it's also a system that could like have it has to matter. They have to make that system matter. It can't just be like a token thing you can do, but it doesn't really change the game at all. Yeah. I feel like they need to integrate it into the game world somehow, where you're making your town and being the mayor of your town really matters. So hopefully they can do that, because they really just showed you building up, and they made some suggestions about, a shopkeeper can come here, or things can happen within your settlement, but they didn't actually show any of that. So until I see that,
I do like the concept and the idea of everything that they're incorporating into the Fallout universe, which is something that Fallout fans have wanted for a long time. Stuff like that they've wanted for a long time. I was impressed with the Pip-Boy system again, and particularly with the Pip-Boy edition of Fallout 4. Where you can put in your iPad or your Android device into your own Pip-Boy and sort out stuff from there. I think that was awesome, and I actually went to pre-order one.
Oh, really?
Don't tell anyone.
You were gonna pre-order something?
Oh, right.
What is wrong with you?
I just really wanted the Pip-Boy. Like, that's the only thing. I actually went to pre-order it the other day, and it was already sold out. So I was like, gutted. I will get one though eventually.
Yeah. So overall, I thought Bethesda was a strong start to the press conference, and a strong set of press conferences. I think a lot of them were pretty damn good, but this is probably one of the top ones for me. It definitely started out with a bang. Then day one, I guess Bethesda was really day zero. Day one, Microsoft started things off, and they also, I think, started things off with a bang as well. They started talking about Halo 5. They announced a new mode for Halo 5. Titled Warzone, which is like a large-scale, almost seems like a Battlefield-style map inside the universe of Halo. They'll have NPC creeps, basically. It has like a MOBA feel to it, sort of a Titanfall-y MOBA feel. I think that could be interesting in Halo.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft conference for me wasn't particularly interesting. I mean, they came out with Halo 5, which doesn't particularly interest me. Forza 6, not particularly interesting. They had a lot of like other publishers' games up there, which again we'll cover in the actual like Ubisoft press conference and stuff. I think the biggest for me was two things. One was Recore, which is being developed by the guy who created Mega Man, which looks really, really interesting. I mean, it was a CGI trailer, so there was nothing particularly thing, but I do like the concept of it. But the biggest for me was Rare coming back. Now, Rare, for those who don't know, are the developers behind the Banjo-Kazooie titles. And they were once a really good development house, but
great games in their catalog.
When they got took over by Microsoft had them working on a lot of crap. And I think the only good thing they did since taking over Microsoft was probably Viva Pinata.
Yeah.
So they
also a good game though.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, but I mean, they did a lot of crap. But they announced a new Xbox. Is it an Xbox One exclusive? Because I feel like it'll be coming to PC eventually. But
probably a lot of the Microsoft games were Xbox One and PC, but they said NPC under their breath, so that.
But they announced a new title called Sea of Thieves, which is a pirate-themed multiplayer game. Now, they called it a multiplayer game, but they didn't call it an MMO. But from the actual trailer, which some of it was gameplay, it looked very much like an MMO to me.
Yeah. To me, it seems like it'll probably be like a server-based game, kind of like the survival genre games that you get, or Minecraft.
But that was something that I was really happy to see, because one, it was a new IP, and I love pirate games. Like, pirate games are cool. Like, the problem is with pirate games, people try and make them and they never do them right. And the closest that I've ever gotten to a good pirate game is probably Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which is disappointing. So I really hope that Rare, because they showed naval combat a little bit in the trailer, about cannons firing broadside and stuff like that. So I really hope that they kind of take notes from stuff like Black Flag in terms of the naval combat and stuff, and they make a really good pirate game, because people will flock to that like there's no tomorrow.
For sure. That's probably the game that I'm most interested to see more about. I think that there were a lot of new IPs, especially for an E3 press conference. There's a lot of new IPs getting announced, and this is the one I think I'm most interested in seeing where it goes, because pirates are a great concept that seems to elude a lot of developers. People can't, as you said, people can't really get it right. Also, at the Microsoft press conference, just a quick rundown. Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare 2, if you care. Dark Souls 3 is getting announced.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting. Maybe the biggest non-actual game announcement was the announcement that Xbox One was now backwards compatible.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. I'm glad they're doing it, because I think it's good for consumers. And they're doing it in stages, very similar to what they did with the Xbox 360 and the original Xbox, because they did the backwards compatibility with that in stages. They released a certain number of games that were backwards compatible, and then they did some more. And it was interesting to hear Sony, one of the executive producers of Sony actually commented on the news, saying that they're brave doing it because it's actually a very expensive process to do that. So that's good for Xbox One owners, because that's something that the PS4 doesn't have.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting also that they talked about it as if all it was is they emulated the Xbox 360 in Xbox One, so all you do is you put in your disc and you're going to download a wrapper for that game, and then you're just going to play it through that emulator. So, I mean, as long as they get that emulator right, it seems like they can basically put in any titles they want, as long as they get around to it. It sounded like they were willing to do pretty much any game. They just needed to get the okay for it.
I mean, that's great for Xbox One owners. Yeah. And for me, I mean, I only own a PC. And if I was ever to go and buy, I mean, I own a host of 360 games. So if I was, that would kind of, at this point, push me towards an Xbox One, just for the fact that I can go replay my 360 games.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Hearing this news kind of makes me think about buying an Xbox One. I probably won't, but
but things like this,
makes me think.
This is like a response to last year's criticisms.
Yeah,
this is what it is. I mean, every press conference had that vibe that we want to do more for consumers, we want to do more for gamers, and we want to do the things that we should have done last year, right?
Yeah.
So every press conference this year had that kind of vibe, to the point of and it was interesting to notice that how, because games critics and consumers have really shouted about not having CGI trailers, that basically anything that's probably past an alpha stage, even most things that are in alpha, are now being shown captured footage from PS4, Xbox One, stuff like that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because they don't want the backlash of going with CGI.
Yeah, I mean, I commend that the developers for doing that, and you talked about Doom, the texture is not looking great. I think there was a lot of things shown here that weren't necessarily in their final state, and I think that's a good thing.
I think I'm always going to pick up on things, even gameplay. Gameplay doesn't, just because you show me gameplay doesn't mean I'm not going to pick at it, right? Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, it's like when I do my early access critiques. If no one's going to say anything, they're just going to leave it there.
Right. Yeah, it's way better for them to show us the rougher state now and then upgrade it in the end than showing us the super clean CGI thing now.
Fallout 4 looked great in some areas, and then in other areas that they showed, I thought it didn't look so good. For example, the faces looked fantastic, and the character creation looked really, really amazing. And then you see your created character in that vault suit, and I thought the vault suit was just so untextured. It was just like blue matte. It was just I was like, what is that? That's awful.
Yeah.
So it's kind of got that contrast. But I think that the Microsoft press conference, going back to the Microsoft press conference was okay. bar the one or two things that I thought were interesting and really good, like the backwards compatibility and like Sea of Thieves.
What did you think of the HoloLens AR demo that they did? No, you don't care? I thought that was one of the cooler things that was seen at the show.
Like I've said many times about VR and AR, I'm not gonna sit there and say it's really good or really cool until it's out there.
Yeah, VR also was kind of the star of this E3. It seems every news outlet was singing the praises of all the different kinds of VR that's out there and all the different experiences that they were getting.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I just don't believe stuff like that because there's so many times, whether it's like hardware or software, whether it's games or consoles, that like they show a certain build or a certain prototype or something like that at E3 to press and consumers, and then you actually get it out to the public in its final form, and it does not work.
Yeah,
it does not work as intended, does not work outright, or it's not the same quality as was shown previously. So until like Oculus, HoloLens, Morpheus is out, like on shelves, ready to buy, and then we get the reviews in from that, then I'll think about it.
Yeah, and it's very easy to create a demo for 10 minutes to show to a bunch of different people that are just walking by on a press conference.
Speaking of that, like I actually got an email today from a guy who works at a company called Convergence VR. And they're creating a project that's basically combining VR, AR, and it's supposed to be like an MMO. And it's supposed to have all these different kinds of depths to it. And they basically created a trailer that was a pre-visualization, right? And it basically had like people using AR and VR in real life to pilot fighter jets after this like sci-fi robot plane, right? And the visuals look crazy, and it was just CGI. It was CGI made to look like gameplay. And I thought, that looks really good, but it doesn't exist. So anyone can do that. Anyone can create that kind of thing. Like I say, the proof is when I play it, and when it's out there for everyone. See what your quality's like then.
Yep, for sure. And yeah, I think Microsoft really did what they had to do. I think that Microsoft couldn't follow up last year's press conference with another stinker, another very unpopular press conference.
I don't think it could have got any worse for them.
That's true. They kind of had to play towards the masses and really play towards looking like the good guys this time around. I think that PlayStation's in a commanding lead, obviously, so they're when your back's against the wall, that's when you have to really do something different and great. Let's move on to the next press conference, which was EA. This one was kind of a snoozer for me. I think
EA's press conferences for the past like 4 or 5 years have been snoozers. Like, they never do anything good. Like, the games that they showed, some of them were okay. Like, everyone was like, "Oh, it's Mass Effect. It's Mass Effect." I'm like, "Is it? I don't know." Like, what?
I actually think I think Mass Effect looks interesting.
Didn't see anything though. There's nothing there.
You don't see anything, but I like the idea of Mass Effect in like a Western style sci-fi universe. I think that works well for the Mass Effect universe. I think it would fit well. So hopefully they do something good with that. I'm happy they announced Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Yeah,
that was good.
They did the usual host of sports titles, which I always like. I always like FIFA. FIFA games are great. I'm English. I love football, so I always play the yearly FIFA game.
Usually play Madden also, so I understand where they're coming from, and the sports titles are obviously big money makers.
The two biggest this year for me personally from E3 were obviously Battlefront.
Yep.
Which looked great, and I actually tweeted out, it's still not going to look like that. And people were like, "Oh, why are you so cynical? Battlefield already is getting close to that graphical fidelity." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I bet it's still not going to look like that."
Yeah.
And I bet it's not going to go that smoothly in matches either.
So, probably not. And I honestly, I don't know. I just didn't
like. I think it looks great. Don't get me wrong. And I love Battlefront. I'm so happy that they're making another Battlefront game, and I like that DICE is doing it. And it's there's a lot of things in there that I do like the look of. But get it in my hands and
something about that demo just rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know. I didn't like it. I looked at it and I was like, this is very, I don't know, very, very mechanical. It felt like.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff that I did like, but you know, it's one of those.
I thought the sound was great. Yeah, I'll give them that.
Yeah.
They really got the sound.
I just think think it might be a case of another downgrader.
Yeah.
And I feel like people have like built it up to a high point so bad that it's going to be like, I wouldn't say it's going to be a Watch Dogs, because Watch Dogs had like a downgrade and it was a crap game. But I think that Battlefront will be a good game from what it looks like. I just don't think it's going to look like that.
Yeah.
And you know, people can like, don't get me wrong, prove me wrong, but I don't think it's going to look like that.
Oh. Like,
it's just too much. It's too shiny, too nice, too. Like, they were like, this is actual footage, and people were like, this is actual footage from PS4, and I'm like, whose PS4? Yours?
Yeah.
Or theirs?
The special hardware PS4.
The developer one that's debugged and everything.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, it's one of those things, but you know, like I say, I'm really happy to get a Battlefront, so we'll see where that goes. But the biggest for me, and probably you, was the old Republic.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go to next. The other Star Wars. I guess they announced like a mobile Star Wars game as well. There was like 3 Star Wars games. Who cares about the mobile one? No one cares. The Old Republic, though, that's somewhat exciting. I think the trailer looked good. They always have great trailers, that's for sure. Yeah, and the news, all the follow-up news that I've seen on that, it just doesn't sound right. It sounds like they're planning on releasing without any endgame content, like new raids or anything, new war zones.
That doesn't surprise me though, because it's single player content basically, right?
Yeah,
it's like
it really sounds like they're pushing the single player aspect of it,
which is fine for me, because that's what when I played the game, when I covered the game, when I used to do videos on the game, that's what I said they should be focusing on, because everything else was crap. So they maybe finally listened to me. It's too late because I'm gone. So sorry.
They're doing something interesting where they're releasing basically episodic content for the expansion.
What
so it's
I don't get
about it, be chunked.
And what I don't get about it, right, is that you're releasing more story content, which is great, because the ironic thing is, of the multiplayer game of the original, the strongest point was the storyline, right? Yep. Why didn't you just make a single player game?
Yeah, I mean, everyone asks for KOTOR 3 all the time still.
Like, yeah, I would still, to this day, rather see Knights of the Old Republic 3 than an expansion to the Old Republic to this day.
I think they did a lot of things right with SWTOR. I think they also did a lot of things very strangely, as if I've always said that they didn't learn from their predecessors on releasing an MMO. They kind of just released their first MMO, and you had all the same problems that new MMOs always have. They didn't really look at other games.
MMOs intrinsically are going to have problems, but I think I think it's been proved that like taking a beloved single player RPG and turning that into an MMO tends not to go well. Yeah, like the Elder Scrolls. Again, that game tried to be a blend of the Elder Scrolls games and an MMO, and it just sucked.
Yeah,
and
serious problems with that game.
And it's just the same. Like, I played Knights of the Old Republic for the immersion and the storyline, and it was great. And then you can't really do that with the Old Republic so much. And while the storyline was interesting, it got silly very quickly, aka 300-year-old Revan who won't die. It just got too much, and I just thought it almost, for me, as a fan of Knights of the Old Republic MMO tarnishes its reputation, and I just don't. I never understood why they decided to do that. I get the idea that you want to create an MMO in Star Wars, but was it worth it? I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, the story is going to continue to get sillier with this expansion, as all characters are going to be pushed into a carbonite chamber and will be revived 200 years in the future.
That's really? Like is that the thing?
That's how the story is going to start. Yeah, so Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, no, it's not bringing me back. That I mean, yeah, fine, do your story. Like, I'm glad that they're doing single player content because it was the best part of the game. At this point, I'm just like, oh, so what? Like, who cares? Like, I've got no time for that anymore. Like, there's just it doesn't do enough. It still has that problem of lack of immersion in terms of the story. It still has that everyone's the Emperor's Wrath, everyone's the Jedi character, everyone's the same thing.
The special snowflake problem that all MMOs have.
No, it's not worth it. I mean, good for them. They're doing what people have been asking for 2 years, but whatever.
They're making money too. People play that game. They like that game.
Yeah.
And it always seems to do well for them. So I'm happy it's doing well. I still like that game. I still have affection for that game. I just don't have the time to play an MMO anymore. So that's that.
Well, that was EA. I mean, EA was okay. There was a couple of interesting things, but it was largely mute.
Yeah, it was pretty boring and lifeless, in my opinion. Speaking of boring and lifeless, let's talk about Ubisoft.
The worst conference every year.
Yeah, what they talked about Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
That game.
Interestingly enough, I quite enjoyed Ubisoft conference.
Really?
Yeah. Because I usually find it good to laugh at. Like, I find it an enjoyable experience. Like the woman who hosts it every year, Aisha Taylor or Tyler or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Hosts it every year, and she drives me crazy. That woman drives me crazy.
So cringeworthy.
She's like the worst thing every year. And she just kept pulling out these memes in her speeches.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing that? Like, it's not funny. Stop.
She makes like one funny joke for every like 5 bad ones that I'm just like, why are they trying to do this? Like, I like her. I like her in general. Like, I like her as an actress. I just don't think she does this. Like,
but I mean, games wise, I thought Ubisoft improved massively from last year.
Yeah, you think so?
They showed a lot more gameplay, which was good. Even the newer games like Rainbow Six Siege and Division, even though they did show like CGI in some trailers, they did both. They showed like a CGI trailer to get everyone hyped up, and then they actually showed gameplay, which was quite good. I wasn't particularly interested in Ubisoft's lineup particularly. I thought the lineup was quite boring. I mean, you had the Division, which is interesting, but what they actually announced this year with this like zone where you can basically betray everyone you're with, sounds like it's going to be a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially going to have like a group of online players all going in for the same loot, and then everyone just shooting each other. Everyone's dead, and then no one wins. So that sounds like a great design idea. Then you had Rainbow Six Siege, which I always liked the Rainbow Six series, but and I don't have a problem with this one in particularly. But it's just it's another game. It doesn't do anything particularly special. It's just another.
It gives me like kind of like Payday vibes, where you're in a coordinated group. And
what I always liked about it, because they only show the multiplayer. What I liked about the Rainbow Six Siege game, the Rainbow Six games originally, was the single player, and the reason was for that is because you got to plan. You controlled 2 teams, right? And then in the actual mission, you controlled 1 character. So you got to plan. You got the map. And then you got to plan where the other team was going and what they were going to do, their entry route and everything like that, what areas they were going to sweep. And then you did the same for your team, and then you carried it out. That was like really cool for me. I really enjoyed doing that kind of planning phase, and then seeing it executed to see if you survived. With this one, they haven't shown any of that really. They showed a little bit of story trailer, which was okay. Who cares? And the multiplayer looks okay, but it looks like any. What FPS? I mean, what's the difference between that Call of Duty and Battlefield? Not much. So that was okay. I think they did a lot of mobile titles, which I didn't care about. They did the Just Dance title, which was just hilariously cringy because they brought Jason Derulo on there. Which was just awful. It was awful.
Yeah.
Like,
it was. I felt bad for the guy. I felt bad for him. He was on stage and no one cared.
I love the
Not
fact
a single
they do this
person.
every year. They bring on like pop stars or members of Hollywood into a crowd of hardcore gamers and press, and 30% of those are Chinese and don't speak a word of English, right? And then you see like Jason Derulo do this performance, and then you just get this muted applause at the end. It's like, who's this guy? Who is he? No one in that crowd knows you. No one.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? And he's like, yeah, I promote this game. I don't know really what I'm talking about, but I'm getting paid for this. So I'm like, yeah, that was cringeworthy. Good job, Ubisoft. And then I think the biggest one for me for Ubisoft was a game called For Honor, which they announced.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Which is like a third-person melee multiplayer fighter thing.
They're calling it a new genre.
Yeah, it's not really.
I don't know if that is.
But it looks really good. Like that hit all the spots for me. Samurais versus European knights versus Vikings. That's my thing. I really liked the trailer and I liked the gameplay that they showed, because the actual gameplay at the press conference was okay, but they actually did a various gameplay walkthrough on the website and on various stages, and actually showed the mechanics of what, like, they went through the whole thing. So there was all sorts, like the actual combat looked really good because it didn't look button bashy. It actually looked timed, like you have to time your attack, and you actually, to block, you have to use your right analog stick to kind of put your sword where you want to block, like right side up, left side, etc., etc. So that was really cool. And again, I really dig the kind of timed attacks rather than the button bashing madness, because it's chaos and no one cares. It's not fun. Yeah. But I liked the fact that there was a lot of tactics involved in it, because you had players were basically very similar to like stuff like Call of Duty. When you got to a certain amount of points via kills or something like that, you got features where you could call down like flaming arrows onto people, and there was all this siege warfare. And on top of the actual human players, you also have various computer bots. So it kind of it's almost like the actual game looked like it was kind of mixing kind of MOBA style stuff with a little bit of stuff from games like Chivalry and War of the Roses and stuff like that. Right. So I was really impressed with that, actually. I thought that was the best one of Ubisoft.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Another new IP that we're talking about here, which is great. But my only issue with is that it's another 4-on-4 multiplayer game. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these coming out these days. They only showed the 4-on-4.
It was one of the things when I wrote about it. I said that I hope that they increase the matches and you could put maybe up to a 16v16, because I think that'd be cool. But they said that they're going to treat the game very much like an FPS, so that you would basically have different maps with different objectives and all that kind of thing. So with that, I mean, I like the idea of it. I hope that they execute it well.
I'm getting tired of the current trend of just small multiplayer games, like the small tactical. Yeah. They always say it's going to be a tactical game, but that's just not how the general gaming community deals with these games. Yeah. It just turns into a cluster.
I think that they're putting in stuff that you have to think tactically, because especially the games, the map that they showcased was taking control points, and you also have an army of AI look after as well and to kill. And it was interesting. The map size wasn't small either. That was something that was pretty impressive. It was not a small map, it was a huge castle. So I like the look of it so far. I mean, obviously it is Ubisoft, so prepare to be disappointed, but one of those things that I really hope that does well, because it's a new IP and I really like the look of it. And they did mention that they weren't talking about single player, but they did say that there was going to be a single player campaign in there.
Did they?
Yeah, in one of the interviews with the creative director.
So maybe that could be.
So that could be interesting too. So hopefully, that one impressed me. I'll have to admit.
Yeah, that was interesting. I also liked the Trials Fusion announcement they did with the cat, the gun wielding cat riding a flaming unicorn. I thought that was pretty funny. Other than that, Ubisoft was pretty boring in my opinion. Assassin's Creed, I don't even think we mentioned
Assassin's Creed in Victorian London. Good job. Who cares? No one cares anymore.
Whatever. No, I don't care for sure. Then Sony opened up with probably the game that was on everyone's mind, and that was The Last Guardian was announced, official, for real. We have gameplay. Seriously, look at this gameplay. This is a game. It did look good. You have a giant companion animal beast flying winged horse cat
it was like a giant rat with feathers and horns.
Yeah. It was weird. It looked like exactly what I want that game to look like.
But I'm glad I was impressed by that. I thought that was pretty good. There wasn't that much to see, really. I mean, it just showed some platforming elements and how the boy that you play is saved in the platforming sections by the animal, but vice versa, that you have to save the animal sometimes. So it's like that kind of companionship mechanic. That was interesting, but I'd like to see more of it.
We all know that thing's going to die in the end, right?
Oh yeah, that's correct. That's the end of the game. It's a cliche that has to be done. That the lovable animal will die in the end, saving the boy, and there'll be a crying moment, and hurrah, hurrah.
Yep.
Get them feels. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see more. There wasn't particularly that much to see. We need more details on that, really, in terms of, especially because it's coming from Team Ico, who did Shadow of Colossus and stuff. So, what kind of boss battles are going to be in there and stuff like that? I'd like to see it, a tease of that.
Great pedigree. So I'm expecting this one to be good.
I'll be interested to see if it's more story driven.
Could be,
because I mean, Shadow of Colossus wasn't particularly story driven.
Right.
Necessarily, it was a case of
it was more like theme driven.
Yeah, it was kind of like going around defeating bosses, but there wasn't particularly a heavy narrative. But it'd be interesting to see, because of the way this one's designed, in terms of you've got the both characters, if they're going to go like a more narratively driven route in terms of like where the beast comes from, how they met, etc., etc. Why are they traveling, whatever. But
yeah. So that was exciting from Sony. They demoed No Man's Sky.
Yeah, they did.
I still don't know what that game's gonna be like.
I don't know.
The guy was demoing it.
No Man's Sky, I really like it. I like the look of it. I thought the gameplay, the 4-minute gameplay demo they did on stage was really, really good, and I thought it was really, really interesting. I think the problem with No Man's Sky is that it's single player, right?
Yeah.
So I think it is single player. I think so.
Yeah. I don't
know.
Honestly,
if it's single player,
I
can't remember if it is or not. But if it is single player, I can imagine that getting boring pretty fast.
Right.
If it's not, then it could be more interesting.
I thought the whole point was it being multiplayer. So
if it is multiplayer, then I could dig that. I think that it's a case of, but I think it's still going to fall into the same design issue of what have you got to do, right? It's all about exploring. Mm-hmm. At what point does the game's assets run out in terms of things looking the same?
Right. And they've been saying infinite possibilities with their engine that they're running. Mm-hmm. They have all different algorithms that are randomly generating the universe.
Game said that before.
Right, that's true. And also, he was doing the demo, and he didn't really do anything. He just kind of walked around. He did some scanning. Yeah,
but I liked it. I liked the look of it.
Yeah, it looked great, but to me, that's going to get boring.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because I really like sci-fi games. I enjoyed the seamless transition between space and planet, so that
that's awesome.
You went down to you entered the atmosphere into the planet, you landed, got out, and you could just go right.
Right.
I like the idea that each planet's got all this different stuff. There's all kinds of flora and fauna to scan and stuff like that. I liked it. I think from an outlook, kind of window shopping perspective, I really like the look of it. But I feel like what's it gonna do when you get past that? When you get past that glaze of it's new, it's pretty, it's stylized. You've got all this massive universe to explore. Because it's the same thing that happened with me with EVE Online. I've got this massive universe to explore. I've got all these things to do. But I'm bored.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of people have that with EVE. A lot of people quit after a short period of time.
But it'd be interesting. Interesting.
But yeah, I think it actually says a lot when he was demoing it. He was just walking around, and then he's like, oh yeah, and there's combat, and there's trading, and there's gathering, and he's saying all these things, not showing it in the demo.
Still,
and that's,
they didn't even announce a release date, so I feel like it's a case of they announced that game a couple of years ago too early,
right?
Way too early, because clearly they're not ready in any shape or form. So it's one of
and it's a case of, well, if I'm not seeing it, who knows if it's actually going to make it to the final game? the game could be nothing what like they obviously have very high expectations for the game, but we all know we've seen video games before that have had high expectations that release and they pale in comparison to what they wanted.
I think the Sony was okay. There was a couple of interesting things like there was a couple like player created content games like Dreams, which was okay. Everything looked okay.
Is that a game? Is that a game?
It's
actually, it seemed like almost like a Valve. They have that Valve Movie Maker thing. It kind of seemed like that for PlayStation 4.
It's supposed to be kind of like a little. It's the same guys who did Little Big Planet.
Yeah, it's Little Big Planet.
That kind of thing. But more in the case of like it's more of a Dear Esther kind of thing where people create their own dreams and then the player goes to experience them.
Right.
So it like you can have walk through dreams, or it seemed like they were like kind of teasing the idea of you be able to put in stuff for people to do like races or space battles and stuff like that. But we'll see. It was an early concept. Nothing particularly interested me in Sony that much. I thought the only thing that really interested me was a new IP again.
Yeah, I think you're gonna say, yep, that's the one. That's probably that is gonna be an awesome game.
I thought it looked really awesome. Game. Problem I had with it though is that I felt like it was the bastard child of 3 games, being Heavenly Sword. It has the main character of Heavenly Sword, that ginger dreadlock woman.
I can see that. Yep.
And then it has the gameplay of Lost Planet with the like targeting specific areas on things, and that's third-person view.
Yep.
And then it has the enemies of Metal Gear. That's what that game is.
That sounds like a Sony game to me.
That's what that game is right there.
Yeah. It sounds like a great game.
So yeah, it just kind of looked like a combination of those games, which is fine by me because it's Guerrilla Games who make Killzone, and so I'm so glad they're not doing another Killzone. So it looked good.
Seems neat.
I like
Metal
the
dinosaurs.
idea. The setting of like a future Earth where humans have reverted to a simpler form of life, and then the AI has like kind of gone into like beast form, I guess, is interesting. And I like the idea that there's going to be like a pretty in-depth story in there. They kind of teased that a little bit, but it looked good. But like I say,
I'm excited. Excited for
it. Does very much
game.
Remind me of like a combination of those 3 games.
Yeah, and it's going to be a PS4 exclusive, so I'll probably never be able to play it.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely excited to see how that ends up. That's a cool idea for a new IP.
Yeah. But apart from
another
much on
cool
Sony's end.
Yeah, they announced the remake of Final Fantasy VII. Who cares, really?
I do. I love Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, you care?
And I'll buy it and play it. But, what was interesting, though, is that actually at the Square Enix press conference, which we'll get onto in a second, they actually teased that, or was it an interview afterwards with I can't remember which it was, but they actually teased that it might not be an exact remake, so that they might change certain aspects of the story.
Huh.
Which is...
So that to me is more interesting.
Yeah, so... I love Final Fantasy VII.
I
think the Final Fantasy VII story was actually one of the better ones. Final Fantasy series, so I'd like to play that again. So yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, they announced the Shenmue 3 Kickstarter, which was kind of shady-ish. They were like, hey, we're going to bring on the Shenmue 3 guy, and he's going to talk about his new Kickstarter that's launching. But we're not involved with this at all, so just go give him money. And then after he got all the millions of dollars, they were like, oh yeah, we're actually definitely helping make this game. So, I don't know. That was a little shady. Yeah, Shenmue 3 is coming, if you're a fan of the Shenmue series. Other than that, they announced that Lara Croft Lara Croft Go, I think was the name of it, similar to Hitman Go. I liked Hitman Go, so I'm interested to see what they actually do with the Lara Croft series.
Pretty much the same.
Yeah, if it's more of the same, I'll be okay with that. That's fine by me. But if they do something different, that would be
that was the biggest thing of Sony. I think that was about it.
Yep.
Everything else was pretty small time and not relevant.
Yeah. So let's move on to Nintendo.
I didn't watch
Nintendo did their... You didn't watch the Nintendo Direct?
I don't like Nintendo.
Okay, well, Nintendo did their Nintendo Direct.
I watched some of Nintendo's and I turned it off specifically because it was like 20 minutes of clips of Mario games. And I was like, this is boring.
Yeah, it was a funny press conference. I thought they had like sock puppets, and looking at bananas and the Luigi death stare, and they kind of filled it with all the internet memes,
there was a lot,
which is interesting.
The 20 minutes I watched, there was a lot of filler in there. Like, there was this
was
woman
a lot.
who did, I don't know what she did. Like, she wasn't even a Nintendo
the Yarn Yoshi.
She wasn't a Nintendo play. She was like a, I don't know what she did, but like she was just talking.
You're probably talking about the Yarn Yoshi person, the one who did.
Maybe, but she was just talking about her life.
That went on for a little.
Why do I care?
I mean, we didn't talk about the Pele at the E3 conference, but that was another. Why is this happening for so long at E3? This is not the right place for this.
Developers do this, like when they put on people to tell their life stories. I'm like, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not. It's not me being nasty. I just don't care. Just show me the game. Like
this. Yeah, this isn't the venue for something like that.
I don't want to know how you got a Nintendo at like 5 and it was the best thing ever, and you love your dad, and who cares? Yeah. Like, I don't care. I don't know you. I won't ever meet you. I don't care. Just show me your damn game.
Yeah. So they announced a couple things. The Star Fox game is coming for the holiday season.
That looked pretty fun.
We knew about that game. Yeah, it looks like a Star Fox game. You do some different things where you change on the fly now from like land mode to in the sky, which is pretty neat. I don't know why.
I like the thing that they had with the Wii U, where you basically got the cockpit view on your controller, and then you could switch on the actual TV if you wanted to, what viewpoint you wanted. So you could. It was interesting.
Yeah, it's a neat way to do that. Hyrule Warriors coming out for 3DS. Yeah. They announced the Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem game. There's a new 3DS version, or it's a new 3DS game. It's sort of like Four Swords Adventure, Zelda game, Triforce Heroes, where you play as 3 different characters. It's a multiplayer game, so each player controls one of them. It does have online multiplayer, which I think is important. So you can Was
there anything particularly big at Nintendo this year?
No, not really. I thought Mario Maker looks amazing. That looks incredible to me and pushes all the right buttons. It looks like they're doing everything right with that game.
Like I said, the press conference that I saw, like what I saw of it, there just seemed to be a lot of filler in there.
Yeah, there was a lot of filler. Yeah.
Clearly, you guys don't have much to announce.
Yeah, they really didn't. I'm actually excited for the new Mario RPG, which is Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. It's like a combination of the Mario Luigi franchise and the Paper Mario series. So there's going to be like 2 different Marios, 2 different Luigis. One's going to be flat, one's going to be 3D and polygonal. So I think that could be a fun game as well. And then they announced an Animal Crossing board game with amiibos and lots of other amiibos. Also amiibos. Also Skylanders with amiibos. You can kind of, they're doing some Skylander amiibos. So yeah, that was the Nintendo press conference.
Get your plastic goods.
Yeah. Mario Maker, that game is going to be crack for me, but that I could see why some people might not like it. You could stack Bowsers on top of Bowsers on top of Bowsers, and you can fight Bowser piggybacking Bowser.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, it sounds great. And then ending the press conference, another, I don't know, I thought this was a big snoozer as well. Square Enix. I don't know. Just Cause 3 was cool.
I like Square Enix.
Yeah,
no, you like I don't like them as a company. I hate them.
No, but you like the press conference?
I thought it was okay, actually. It always makes me... I feel sorry for them, when Japanese developers comes out, because they have to speak, because they only speak Japanese, and then sometimes, like, on the live streams, they don't actually turn on the translator.
Yeah.
So you had, like, half the press conference is solely Japanese.
Yeah.
Which I assume... the actual people, the English people, speaking people who didn't speak Japanese in the audience had no clue what they were saying, because every time it was time to applause, like you could see the Japanese developers going like, time to applause, like they were clapping themselves and everyone was clapping, and then you had like the Japanese contingent at the back going, woo, yeah, in their like repressed Japanese way, so they were probably bowing at each other.
Yeah.
But I really liked them. I thought Square Enix came out this year a lot different to the last previous years, because they've got a lot of stick over the past couple of years of particularly sticking with like Final Fantasy 13 as a franchise. No one cares about that. So they actually came out this year going, we've got we've got a new Final Fantasy game, which they didn't show. They briefly showed in like a 2-second trailer. They showed Heavenly Sword, which was the expansion for Final Fantasy Online, right?
Yep.
What excited me, even though there was nothing to see apart from like 3 concept art, was Project Setsuna, which is a totally new IP that they're going to be creating. Which I always like new RPGs. I dig that. They showed Just Cause 3, which was okay as a Just Cause game.
Yeah, Just Cause 3 is more of Just Cause, and that's just fine.
What else did they show? There was a couple of things that they showed. World of Final Fantasy looked kind of fun.
World of Final Fantasy could be interesting, the chibi little Final Fantasy game.
As a person who's got 5 kids, I like the idea of having a Final Fantasy game that I can play with my kids. And I like the idea how the mechanics work, where you would stack characters on top of each other like totems, and then each totem makeup would do different things and have different things. I thought that was cool. So I really liked that idea. Obviously, there was the Final Fantasy VII remake that they showed. They also showed that Final Fantasy VII was coming to iOS and mobile devices.
Oh, did they? I guess I missed that part. That's interesting.
So that's a thing that's coming, which is kind of cool.
Yep. Kingdom Hearts. They announced the new Kingdom Hearts game.
Oh my gosh, that game looks so much better than the last. I
never got into the series. You're a fan?
I'm a fan of watching my 9-year-old stepson play it. I don't really play it, but he loves the Kingdom Hearts series because it's fun, right? You've got Final Fantasy characters with Disney characters. It's fun. The problem with the first and the second games is that the mechanics were awful. Like the combat was awful. The platforming was awful. It was clunky. It had all these issues. That looks like it's all been sorted in the new one. That it looks much more smoother. You get to do really cool things. Story-wise, if you don't really play Kingdom Hearts for the story, because it's just so.
Really, I thought everyone loves the story of Kingdom Hearts.
The problem is what Square Enix did with the franchise is they put 3 main games, but to basically between 1 and 2, to basically be up to date with the story, you have to play all the mobile and DS games that they released in between, because they did years of story in between the 2 games on little titles. So it was you go into 2 and you're like, what have I missed?
Too much.
So, but I really liked the way that they are going to make it. From what the gameplay they showed, I thought that a lot of the gameplay mechanical issues that I had problems with have been solved. I liked the mobile title that they're releasing, Unchained Key. I thought that looked really fun. Being able to create your own kind of person to throw into the Kingdom Hearts world, and then being able to use different moves from all the characters in the series. I thought that was really cool.
Right.
But yeah, apart from that, there wasn't anything.
Yeah, and then they closed out with the Deus Ex stuff.
Yeah, Deus Ex. I didn't like Human Revolution. I know a lot of people did. I didn't like it. I liked the original, and to some extent, Human Revolution was okay.
Everyone likes the original. Yeah, I liked Human Revolution.
I didn't like the ending, the story ending. I thought it was
the ending was garbage. The final boss fight was garbage.
Yeah.
But I think everything leading up to that was pretty good.
This one looks okay. I think they're doing a bit cliche though, in terms of the story.
Yeah.
We're set in a time where augmented people are becoming, extinct, and they're persecuted. And Jensen's playing someone who works for the government, but he's secretly got his own agenda because he's trying to take down the Illuminati. Oh, that's not cliche in the slightest. It's okay. I think that the franchise has lost a bit of its, what would you call it, mystique and legend, I guess.
I mean, the first one I think still holds up as a great example of an FPS RPG, and I think it has a great story. I think that still holds up to this day. Human Revolution, I thought, did well. It was better than it had any right to be as just a sequel.
It was okay.
Or a revival of Deus Ex.
I really hated that hub system. I really wanted an open world game.
Yeah, it would have been neat if it was an open world game, but I didn't mind the hub system they had going on. I thought it played well. I thought the game played pretty well. The mixture of stealth and
I felt like
FPS.
the progression was broken in that game because it got to the point where you were just too powerful for everyone.
Yeah, that's also true, but that's the problem with a lot of games. We're gonna look at it.
Yeah, the Square Enix press conference was okay. I liked the fact that they were clearly trying to please their consumers again, rather than going, listen, we don't care what you think, you're getting another Final Fantasy 13. That's what you're getting. Just deal with it.
I think that's a theme of most of these press conferences. I think there was a lot of playing towards consumers and giving players what they want, which is obviously a good thing.
Was the best?
So we're going to talk about who won the press conferences.
Who do you think was the best?
Okay. I think it's Bethesda. I think Bethesda started out super strong, showed a ton of Fallout 4, which was really exciting. And then Microsoft, I think, would be a close second with all their announcements. What do you think? What was your?
I would probably say Bethesda, and then probably Sony.
Yeah, Sony was good too. I think everyone did pretty well. Like I said, there was some snoozers put in there, but it was good. And Bethesda obviously had Fallout 4, so that kind of gives them a leg up over everyone else. No one else had anything.
Speaking of Fallout 4, let's talk about the game.
Yeah, so Bethesda just stealth dropped a mobile app, which we'll talk about as this week's Game of the Week. The Game of the Week is Fallout Shelter. You get it on your iOS devices only, although Android will come
in a couple of months.
Yes, in a couple of months, which actually seems pretty far out to me. This might, I don't know, games like this, they come and go, and right now they're very hot, very big, but who knows, in a month, even in a week, they might not be important. So this was stealth dropped. It's developed, published by Bethesda. It's free to play, so you can go download it right now on any iOS device. It's kind of like a building sim game. Yep. If you played,
it's very much like the building of you kind of build like you do on XCOM.
Yeah.
And it's kind of incorporates a little bit of different genres. It's got like your management, like your resource management in there. It's got building. It's got like a bit of roguelite elements to it in the sense that like if your character dies, they're gone. You can go out. You send people off to explore to do missions, even though you don't do anything about it. Like you send them off and then they come back or don't. It's okay. It's pretty fun. There's not much to it. It's just a sense of basically you're a vault overseer and you've got to build the best vault you can and manage your resources and build your population. And as you build up your population, you unlock more rooms and different facilities and stuff.
I thought the game was kind of boring. It's very light on actual
not
gameplay.
Much to it. Yeah, it's just
like the management isn't super difficult or complicated.
No,
it's just a couple different resources.
Once you've built up enough like power stations and diners and water treatment plants, that's it. Like you're good to go.
Yeah, the game kind of just plays itself at that point. You can do more things, but there's no reason to do anything.
I think it's cute. That's what it is. It's just
it's cute. It's a neat little time waster. I could see a child really enjoying it. If you wanted to give it to a kid on their iPod or iPad, I think that would be fine.
It's cute. It's a little.
Yeah, and it's inoffensive. I think also they should be commended for releasing a free-to-play game and not having any timers. You don't have an energy system. The free-to-play elements are...
You do have microtransactions in there, which in the form of lunch boxes, which give you cards, which give you stuff like more caps or food, water, like resources, or they give you like characters to put in your vault. But like you don't require those at all.
Yep. No, not at all. And it's pretty hidden. They don't like hit you over the head with buy more, buy more, buy more. So Bethesda should be praised for that. I mean, they did a good job.
It's just one of the things. It's a fun little game. It'll keep you entertained for like an hour or two, but that's about it.
And that's why I think it's interesting why they would wait so long to release a version for other devices. You know, this is the kind of game that people probably aren't going to care about in another week or two. Yeah. So to wait so long kind of feels like a missed opportunity for them.
Well, overall, there's not much to say about it because it's not.
Yeah, it's really there isn't
on content. So I mean, overall, it's it's free. You've got nothing to lose.
Yeah,
Like it's not
exactly.
It's not like a thing. It's just one of those games that.
And it's also great because it can be played without an internet connection. Unlike some other games, like if you're playing Clash of Clans or something and you lose internet for a second, it totally sucks. So it's nice that you're able to just play it wherever, on the bus, subway, whatever.
I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. It'll do.
Fine.
Until Fallout 4.
It's a neat thing that was announced. Like I wish more developers did things like this during E3, like little just mini games, basically micro games, just to get the word out there. Because it's cool being part of the zeitgeist with it too, as well. Because this is a pretty big game with a lot of people. People are like posting pictures on Twitter of their nice little Fallout shelter. So it's fine. It's neat. I like it.
Yep.
So I guess that's the show. Let's do some housekeeping here, and then we'll wrap up. Contest last week. The game of the week was This War of Mine, and the winner of the copy of This War of Mine is @RageDragons. So go ahead and PM me on Twitter. We'll get you a copy of your game. Make sure you follow @20orLESS podcast on Twitter so you can be abreast of any future giveaways that we do. This week we don't have a giveaway because it's a free-to-play game. So yeah, go download it.
Everyone's a winner.
Congratulations, you win. If you'd like to contact the show, you can follow 20orLESS podcast on Twitter, 20orLESS@gmail.com. If you have any suggestions for games you'd like to see us play in the future, we're definitely open to suggestions. And follow our Steam group where you can be part of the conversation and follow our curator page, which gives you recommendations on games we've covered on the show. Make sure you like and subscribe on iTunes, and make sure you leave us a nice rating and go ahead and comment while you're there. Why not? Even if it's bad, whatever. I don't care. It doesn't have to be good. Just leave us some feedback. It's fun. Tell us how terrible we are at this. Cosmic, where can people find you?
You can find me at youtube.com/thecosmicengine, and you can also get me on Twitter @cosmicengine99.
What do you got going on YouTube this week? Anything
Catch
good?
up.
Yeah. E3, you lost some sleep.
So catching up this week.
All right. And you got a video in the works? I think you're working on Massive Chalice. You think
I'm going to do Massive Chalice. That'll probably be up on Tuesday, and then I've got like a host of things. I'm just going to try and pump content out. Like,
okay. Great. Go follow Cosmic on YouTube. And if you'd like to reach me, you can get me @GTeeg on Twitter. That's GTEEG on Twitter. GaddockTeeg@GaddockGaming.com. Thank you all very much for listening, and we shall see you next time.